Welcome to another Founder Wisdom Pod. We have Naomi Riley with us today. She's a founder at TextPledge. She's into financial accounting, but she's also a change maker, writer, motivational speaker, researcher, program developer, and she's about safety first AI. So we're gonna talk about her company, TextPledge today, which is addressing critical societal issues through accessible resources and targeted education program today. So, Naomi, welcome to the pod. Tell me a bit more about yourself and what you're up to nowadays.
Hey, thanks so much for having me. So TextPledge is an innovative company, kind of the first of its kind. We take all of societal issues that are going on, big ones, right? From distracted driving, discrimination, acts of violence, all the things that we're seeing in society that we really don't like. We put about a year and a half together of education for students from K through college age. So a student can go to our website, textpledge.us, and under the teacher resources, they can go under and learn what are the signs of, discrimination, what are the signs of distracted driving, acts of violence, how do I know to stay away from them, and then how to raise their mental health. How do we navigate our way through a culture that, kind of we've allowed to happen, and look for warning signs, with people that might have mental illnesses and whatnot. And so, our team put together these education tools to not only help students, but just to help them, get through our daily life anymore. So that's part of our project. Another part of our project is sharing with students and individuals where the statistics are at in the United States. So you're going to see textpledge.us on our website. You're going to see, we pull all these stats from the government sites. You'll be able to see where distracted driving's at. You'll be able to see where hate crimes and discrimination is at. And the list goes on. And so we felt it was really important to share with, the general public on a monthly basis, where are the statistics at in the United States every month. Our vision is to not only have TextPledge in the United States, but it's more of a vision to have it globally so that students can see here's where the statistics are at for every individual country. We have created this culture and climate of, society where we're not sure what the next steps are, but we want to keep, kids a little bit more safe. And so there you're at the third step of our project, where we're providing emergency numbers. Right here is where we have those lined out for the U.S. Our goal, again, is to make sure that the app works in various countries, because we can see that crisis modes are happening more and more all over globally, right? And so helping students understand how they can avoid crisis and how they can navigate through a crisis is one of the best things that we can do. When I go out and do my talks, I talk a lot on mental health and how our mental health has everything to do with where some of these issues are coming from.
Right. And why not pick like one pledge out of 10, and where can I actually pledge on my side?
Yeah, so you should be able to, there's a spot that says take the pledges. And really what we just ask you to do is kind of go through and register with textpledge.us. Just saying that you've read all of these and you want to know, you're knowing the warning signs, right? You're knowing how to stay away from these things. Some people can get a little confused with text pledge or text to pledge. So text pledge is just a brand. It's just a brand, and it's our job just to help, students stay a little bit safer. You can take pledges. We would love it, and we love students do. But it's not necessary. Just know the signs, know how to be warned and watch out for things that are going on in your city or town.
Yeah, taking a pledge is the next level. I think like just signing something. The psychological effect of that, is like I'm serious and I'm gonna do it. Think some accountability, right? And the text part, you can even have them text it to you, right? Like I think that wouldn't be that hard to set up. But why not focus on one of the 10 pledges?
Yeah, so there was a need in our world, right? So let me explain this to you a little bit more. Why it wasn't focused in on just one specific area. When in 2017, I was hit by a distracted driver and had a brain injury. And during that time, my mental health was really affected. And it took doctors and my medical team to about 9 months to diagnose what had happened from my accident. And like I said, my mental health was really affected then because one, my life changed forever in that one instance. And the driver that hit me could go on with his day, but my life changed forever. So at that point, I knew there was a distracted driving problem and I wanted to help solve it. But over the course of time, I would see the acts of violence that are becoming more and more prevalent in the United States and abroad. I would see, the discrimination things that are going on in society and how we need to just really accept each other as one race, the human race, right? And so I started studying the brain, and as I said, mental health was a big part of who I am. And when I was studying the brain's abilities are to freeze, to flight, to fight, or to fawn when it's in crisis. And we're seeing more and more crises happen all over the place. I don't think any one of us are not immune to a crisis, right? When I was hit by a distracted driver, my life went into crisis. And so when the brain's abilities are to freeze, to flight, to fight, or to fawn, we never know how we're going to act in a crisis. And so my job was to show students, hey, when your brain is in crisis, you could be committing one of these things, an act of violence, discrimination. You could be distracted driving or certain things like that. So our mental health plays a huge part because we're just kind of, it's intertwining, right? And so I wanted to show students how important that is to elevate your mental health to become a better person. So you can say, I'm just going to choose to, not engage with any of these things that are going on in society. And I'm going to show others how to do it too. And so we created the curriculum around that, to show students this is what you can do.
Got it. And how did you recover from that accident?
Yeah, so my journey was quite long. I had to have all of my neural pathways redeveloped. I would have to learn how to walk, to talk, right, to understand sentences and story structures and everything like that. So my neural pathways were all redeveloped. And, I talk about how when your brain goes back to the normal state, right, the basic line state, and you have to train it again to learn, you're back at basics. You just put one foot in front of the other to make change happen. And my change it took quite some time, right? But my neural pathways were eventually developed. And 9 months after my journey, I was finally diagnosed with a horrible illness that I still live with today. It's called trigeminal neuralgia. It's where the artery and the nerve, can compress and cause this excruciating pain. And my life was changed forever. And so if I can share my story on resilience and overcoming and taking pain and putting it into a purpose, then I know my job is well done. And I've taught others to rise above what's going on around them.
Interesting. Yeah, just yesterday I had someone on the podcast that was hit on his bike because of a distracted driver. So yeah, this the statistics. I mean, it's what do you think about self-driving cars instead of humans driving them?
Well, I think there's a long way to go as far as the self-driving cars because I don't think that they're completely all synced up yet, right? I've seen them in San Francisco and various cities, and I've seen also the stories where they're not really doing that great of a job. But I think that with the inventions of AI and everything that we have moving forward, I think eventually they will be something to help our society get, be better because we don't need to be distracted. And certainly our children don't need to be watching us be distracted while in the car.
Right. I think self-driving cars are driving better than humans right now, but it's just
Hmm.
that they haven't downloaded all the roads, right? Like they haven't imaged all the US roads, for example. So if you put them in San Francisco, they already drive way better than a human. They have like more training, right? And they're used to these roads, to these environments. But if you put them out there in the new roads, that's where they wouldn't do so well, especially without training. Now, you also talk about other topics I think are quite important too. For example, tell me about the trafficking one. Like, it was quite surprising to me to learn that yeah, this stuff is still happening in the U.S. Right?
Yes.
How have you discovered about that? And tell us about what's happening right now.
So, yes, our research team puts in a lot of thought into our education, and human trafficking is, one of the biggest problems that we see in our society overall. Um, what what I can tell you is that through our education, we are very, very cautious when we're talking about these kind of things. Kidnapping, of course, stranger danger, those kind of things are very important to share with youth on protecting yourself. Yeah, so our research teams go through and they highlight here's where the statistics are at. Yeah, trafficking is one of the worst things that can happen in our world. And, we're doing our due diligence to work with, people that are very first responders and they are always watching over and looking for those things. So what we do is with education through our individualized books or our uh, books for the 9th through 12th grade or college age, we help inform on what are the signs of human trafficking. How can we help others if we feel that there might be somewhere or something that is causing them to be that. For instance, a while back in 2018 or 2019, when I was working in a hotel, we had a victim that had walked into the hotel who was being human trafficked. And so, getting in touch with the right authorities, making sure that she got to a shelter to be free of that whole scenario was very, very important. So it's
Right.
so important that people reach out for help when they, are in dangerous situations.
Right. So, what will be your top goals for this year? Like, what do you want to focus on, impact wise?
Yeah, yeah. So this year, we're working on, developing our website for various countries. We're also working on our app to make that more available for other countries as well, and integrating AI into it so that students can just learn and know danger signs a lot easier.
Interesting. And yeah, tell me like a day to day in your life. Like are you still working to rewire this brain of yours? Is it still difficult? Are you still facing issues nowadays? Like, tell me what's a day to day in your life.
Yeah, so thanks so much for asking that. I'm not asked that very often, but it is important that, everyone understand what my brain is like today versus where it was at in 2018. Yes, I start every day with gratitude, whether I'm writing that down or spending, 10 minutes just in thoughtfulness and prayer. And I am a very prayerful person, and I do what, I feel is right to move forward in that day. However, I have to make a lot of notes. I have to do due diligence, and I have to really focus in on the things that I need to focus in on to get those accomplishments done for the day. Yes, I do have times where I cannot remember certain things and I have to go back to my notes, or I have to, I guess, kind of remind my brain, now how do I have to maneuver to get through this task, right? And I think that we all do. As we grow older, it gets a lot harder. However, I'm very, very diligent on, am I having like a brain synapse, or is this just growing old and getting there? But I do have an amazing team that helps keep me organized, and they've helped keep Text Pledge, up and running and going. I can't take all of the credit for the organization anymore. I'm just someone that started it and started doing all of the research, and then I've, asked, individuals to come on board and give us their advisory, to make the organization a better thing for everyone.
Right. And what was your life before the accident? Like, and
Yeah.
have your close ones supported you throughout that transition?
Oh yes, I was involved in a church here in my hometown, and so I did have a lot of friends and family here to support me during my accident. And then a lot of people just don't have that. Community is really, really important, especially for your mental health. Isolating yourself does not do anything, even though it's hard to deal with humans sometimes, right? We can see a lot of, misconceptions or mistruths or whatever, but in generally, most people are good when we're communicating with others and engaging with others. So I was very fortunate to be involved in a church, and I had so many family and friends that were around me during that time. I would have so many that would just come and support me and take me here and there just to get me back on my feet and going again. Um, it was a very difficult time, though. I'm not going to lie. We all have our hills and valleys, and there was times that I was asking God, like, why am I still here? I don't understand. Why didn't you take me, to heaven, or where, I needed to go? I didn't want my family to see what I was going to have to go through. So I was very, like I said, I was very fortunate enough to have people in my corner to help. And I think that's so important. One of the things that we can do for ourselves is just have lots of family and friends around us to help us.
Right. And I guess COVID didn't help, right? Because if that happened 2018 and then COVID hit, like the social isolation, that must have been
Yes.
a huge valley.
Oh, yes. Yes, we can, whatever happens in our lives, we can go in these depressions and really isolate ourselves. And there was a time, too, that I was doing that. I was isolating, and that was not healthy. It was absolutely not healthy for myself, for my mind, and for, moving forward. But over time, things got much better, and I was able to focus and hyper vigilantly focus. I do accredit that I was able to build businesses and really just focus in on the things that I felt were important. Because like I said, when you have a brain injury, you kind of just have to go back to basics. And everyone's brain injuries are different. Let me just preface that. A skiing accident or a car accident or a head injury, they're all different. Um, I was fortunate enough to be able to recover from mine, but sometimes others are not able to recover. And we just have to really do what we can to protect others and protect the world around us, to make sure that these things don't, like, things like this don't happen and we're not just another number.
Yeah, it depends like what area of the brain it is, but yeah, I can't imagine like this happening to me because my full identity is based on my brain, and having high IQ and like being very smart, like I base
Mm-hmm.
my full ego and my full identity to that. It would completely destroy me.
Yes, yes. I credit it. My brain injury made me a lot smarter. I was a mom of three kids. I didn't really do a ton. I did work a job, but I didn't really appreciate my life the way that I do now. And redeveloping those neural pathways can be done by anyone at any point in our lives. So let me just make sure that everyone understands that. So if you're wanting to level up or raise your emotional intelligence, you can do this. It takes effort, it takes diligence, and it takes a lot of intention. But once you do this, you'll feel so much better about yourself and the world around you. I wake up every day with so much gratitude and just I'm so happy to be able to be share my story with others.
But also, aren't you like scared sometimes that yeah, life can suddenly abruptly like change like that because that event it's a one in a trillion type of scenario, right? Like it doesn't happen to most, and
Right.
it's very unpredictable, right? Like it happened out of nowhere. So
Yeah.
how do you react psychologically to that? Like are you still moving forward or still a bit more careful?
Oh, I am so careful and cautious. When I'm on the roads or when I'm with someone in a vehicle, I'm very, very cautious. But for all of these issues that Text Pledge raises, I'm very cautious on all of them now. I think that just we as citizens and Americans or wherever we're living in the world, we have to raise our intelligence to really watch out for things that are going on around us. We're seeing all of these yucky things in society, right? These acts of violence happening where people just snap and others lose their lives because one person chose to snap or just lose it. And if we can help students understand that that person's brain went into crisis and he chose to fight, he chose to just lose it on a bunch of people, that's not okay. It's our job to show others that that brain went into crisis, but that brain needed to slow down and breathe and think about what they needed to do next.
Right.
We're not right now. There's not a lot of education that's going on what happens when the brain goes in crisis, and I felt that that was really important to get out there. So so that's what our team did is just really put together some good education for that.
Right. I mean, choosing fight is not wrong, but like there's ways to do it, right? Like my favorite way to choose because I'll always choose fight. Like I'm that way. I don't like
Yeah.
run away from things, but I'll just like I'll go for a run. I'll
Yes.
hit my punching bag. I'll
Yeah.
do like something very physical, right? So that my body can also understand that pain. Like if I would put that pain on someone else, then uh, I, doing sports sort of teaches me that okay, you want to take all that energy out. You want to run very fast. Well, you'll be very exhausted and you'll feel the pain, and my body will sort of understand and calm down and be like, yeah, I understand that. Putting it on others not the solution, right? I think that all of us have like these reservoirs every day um, that can get filled by anger or stress and all of these emotions, and it is our job to empty it. And I think one of the best ways to do that is through physical activity, and you'll sleep better, you'll be healthier and all of that, and you won't disturb society or snap on random people, right? So
Mm-hmm.
think it's a good way to go with it. And I think most men would choose fight as well rather than flight. I think
Yes.
that's sort of into us with testosterone.
Yes. I think you're so right. But if we're gonna fight in that perfect way that you just mentioned. Exercise, punch a bag, do the things that you need to do to really like help your brain and just get those emotions out there and be strong.
Yeah, and in the work context, it's crunching more work, right? Like you're
Mm-hmm.
angry that you're not getting paid enough, or that this client left you. Well, work
Mm-hmm.
some more. It's not the best of addictions, work, but it is still somewhat healthy because yeah, the more you work, generally speaking, the more cash you can make. Naomi, where can people find out more about you?
Yeah, so you can go on to textpledge.us and you can download any of our free resources under the teacher resources. But yeah, you can check me out on LinkedIn. I'm always on there and happy to connect with anyone and share my story.